So today we'll be talking about intervals. We'll be talking about seconds and thirds, just second and thirds for today. And secondly, we'll go to introduce scales. And next, we'll be introducing chords, just introduction, chords and chord formulas. So this is Hi. Today, I would like us to have introduction into intervals and chords. And before we get to this introduction, I would like us to first of all go and look at seconds and thirds, minor and major seconds, minor and second thirds. So today we'll be talking about intervals, not just any kind of interval. One, we're going to be talking about intervals. We'll be talking about seconds and thirds, just second and thirds for today. And secondly, we'll go to introduce scales. And next, we'll be introducing chords, just introduction, chords and chord formulas. So this is what we'll be talking about today. Yes, I just wanted us to have that. So let's start starting with intervals. What are minor? We have intervals we'll start with seconds. And seconds, we have two kinds of seconds. We have the major second, which is also written M2, uppercase M, and we have B, the minor second, which is also lowercase m2. And before we start looking at that, I would like to show you how that looks on both the piano and a staff. On the piano, a second third, a major second. The piano is made up of half steps from one key, white keys. There is half steps and there's whole steps. On a piano, for instance, we have the black keys and the white keys. Most of the white keys have whole steps, while a few of them have half steps. Just two of them in each scale has half step. From here, from C, I'll give you an illustration here. From C here to D is a whole step, W. From D to E is another whole step. Now, since we don't have a black key here, E to F is going to be a half step. Then since we have black keys here, this one is going to be a whole step. And this is going to be a whole step. And this a half step. Okay, we go back to C. This is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Just to remind ourselves, we talked about the music alphabet in my introductory video that I'll be linking below. I mentioned the scale. I mentioned the scale, the music scale, which is made up of 7 letters: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And it goes back to A, B. So it's only made up of 7 letters. So in this case, we have a key of C. So it starts with C and ends with C. A key of A will start with A and end with A. So today we are dealing with the scale of C. And this form, we'll look at this, what we see: whole step, half step, whole step, half step. We're going to see that we will be looking at scales. But for now, let's just stick it this way. So there is whole step here, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Any two white keys that has a black key in between is a whole step. And any two white keys that have no black key in between them is a half step. So we have whole step. From here to here is one step. So it's a whole step. Here, C to D, whole step. E to F, half step. G to A, whole step. A to B, whole step. And B to C is a half step. So in addition, moving from in between the black keys is another whole step. This black key, which is a C sharp, we can call it N harmonics. It could be called C sharp or D flat, but let's just say C sharp. Here, C sharp to D sharp is also a whole step. From one black note to another black note is another whole step. From one white note to one black note is a half step. So this C to C sharp is going to be a half step, and C sharp to D is going to be another half step. So why am I talking about this basics? Because we'll be needing it as we move, as we start learning about scales, but we need to understand major steps. A major second, first, let me draw a scale here, staff. This is our staff, our trebles, our treble clef. And now we have here, this is E. If you look at my introductory video again, you will see how to renumber these lines from bottom to the top. So this is our E, this is our F, this is our G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And now we have our ledger line down here, which is our C. So any note on this is going to give us that. Now moving from, we talked about, just like we mentioned here, moving from, let me say from my C here, moving from a C to a D, which is a space line, is a whole note. And any whole note, moving from D to E, is another whole note. And now moving from F, like we said here, E to F is a half step. So we are calling, when we start naming intervals, we are looking at the number, the letter, how many letters do we have there? We have E and F. So it's going to be our 2 because it's between two adjacent letters. So this is 2. Now we have to see, is it a major second or a minor second? It's going to be a minor second if it's a whole note. If it's from one white key to another white key, or from one black key to another black key, or the other obsessions that will come. I just don't want to confuse you for now. Let's say from one white key to another white key is a whole note. So major seconds mainly have whole notes, while minor seconds have half notes. So here in this case, we'll have this 2 will be M major 2. This whole note 2 will be major 2, while this half note will be minor 2. So minor 2 is a half step apart, 2 notes that are half steps apart. Intervals, if I have to define, intervals is the distance between notes. Okay, so the distance between this note to this note, there's a distance, and that's called an interval. And it has two identifications. It can either be named as a minor, major, or perfect. And it's also numbered depending on the number of letters that are in there. If I look at from A to G, 3 letters, so it's not going to be a major second, it's going to be a major third. That's just to introduce you to thirds. We're going to come back to thirds. So I hope I explained this to your understanding. Major seconds, we just did major seconds. And major seconds is a distance between 2 notes that are adjacent to each other. And these whole notes these notes that are adjacent to each other can be a whole note or a half note. If it's a whole note, then it's a major second. And if it's a half note, it's a minor second. Okay, soon we'll be getting into the second part of it, where we'll be talking about thirds. So today, now we're talking about seconds. We're going now to talk about the second one, which are thirds. Oh, sorry, thirds. And thirds also have a major third and B, a minor third. Why do we study this? In music, we will need intervals. We will need intervals to be able to play even on the piano, even to be able to read music. We will need to be able to understand what intervals are. And you will see the application of this, both seconds and intervals, as we apply the scales and chords. Scales will be using the seconds, while chords will be using the thirds. That was just an introduction to second and thirds. Subsequently, I'll be bringing to you details about thirds. Now that we talked about seconds, I would like us to talk about thirds. So we talked about intervals. We started with the intervals and we're done with the seconds. Now we're moving to talk about the thirds. Thirds, also written as this, has the major, which is M3, major third, M3, and B, the minor third, which is M, lowercase m3. So major case, uppercase m3, minor, lowercase m3. So now we will still go. I will still be using my piano to illustrate because I really want us to be, let me come closer. I realized that the first one wasn't very close. Let me take C from here. I told from the introductory video, I mentioned that the C is before the two black keys, and then you also see D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. That's the C scale. We'll be seeing scales later. At least you get introduced to scales already. Now we talked about the distance between two adjacent letters, which is a second, which can be minor or third, minor or major. Now, if you have three letters, like from C, the distance between two notes that are apart, like C and E, is going to be, you count it one. How many notes do you have in there? 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be a third because there are three is a third. The distance is a third apart. So this is going to be a third. The same thing, if you start from F, you're going to have a third is going to be upwards is going to be F, G, A. It's going to be F, A. The distance is a third. Lower, F, E, D. That's going to be a third. So that's what thirds are about in the piano. So the thirds can also be minor or major, just like we had for second. For major thirds, let me do this. We mentioned minor thirds. Minor thirds is a whole note apart, and a whole note contains what? 2 half steps. This is a C and D. This is a whole note, which is a major second. It has how many notes? 1 half note, second half note. So a whole, that's an aside. A major second has 2 steps or 2 half notes. A minor second has 1 step or 1 half note. But in this case, the major there's a difference between that two. Let's draw our staff. So let's just say, let's take A, the major third, which is M3. Let's take a letter from C to E. That's a third because it has C, D, and E. It has 3 letters in it. So that's a third. To be able to know if it's a minor or major third, we count the number of steps that we have. A major step has 4 half. A major third has 4 half steps. Meanwhile, A minor third has 3 half steps. This can be seen most of the times. To illustrate, it's always better to use the piano. So from C to D, which we said is a third, because it has C, D, and E. Now let's count the number of steps that we have from C to D. From C to C sharp is half, 1/2. C sharp to D is the second half. D to D sharp is the third half. And D sharp to E is the fourth half. So that's why we have our four steps. So this one is gonna be a major third. That's how we come about it. For the B, the minor third, or lowercase m3, is we can have a minor third. Let's take D. From D to F is a minor, because there's a half step here that will give us the three half steps that we need. D to E to D sharp is 1/2 step. D sharp to E is second, and E to F is 3. So we have D to F has, first of all, it's a third. It's a third because it's 1, 2, 3 letters. So we have a third. And now it has how many steps? We counted it three half steps. So it's a minor 3. I hope that's helpful. Now going on our staff again, because I would like us to be able to not only look at it using the piano, but we'll be able to, when we see it, when we're reading music, we should be able to know, okay, if I have a note here, this is a C. Oh, no, it cannot be a C except we have a treble clef here. Just look at my introductory video again. So if we have a C here and a D, a space note, E is a line note, F is another space note, and then G and A, B, C. Yeah, that's the scale, the C scale. So now we had from C to D, D to E, which was what? Our major third. Now we're looking at from D to F. And to be able to do this, most of the time, it's better for you to go to the piano, or if you've memorized the different halves and whole steps on the piano like this, it's going to be easy when you've memorized it. Every time I see E and F, I know it's a half step. Every time I see B and C, every time I see B and C, I know it's a half step. Every time I see E and F, I know it's a half step. So to me, in my head, I'll be calculating. But from the beginning, it's always good to have your piano. Sometimes I draw my piano. I used to draw my piano, and I still do it sometimes. And I try to have those half steps counted well so that I don't make mistakes. So here is going to be a minor third. We will have to apply it maybe when we're reading music, when we're singing, ear training, or even when we are playing the piano. So that's what I have for my introduction of intervals. Now we'll have to move the next step. As I just mentioned, in conclusion, thirds can either be minor or major. Third is a distance between two notes that has 3 letters. And it can be is major if it has 4 steps, and it's minor if it has 3 half steps. That's our understanding of seconds and thirds so far. And next, we're going to see how we apply this in scales and chords. Now that we talk about major, minor, seconds, and thirds, I would like us to introduce us to scales. Sorry about that. Scales will be using seconds, while chords will be using thirds. So now we're talking about scales. And like we talked about, scales use seconds, major and minor seconds, which are major second and minor second. And when we talk about scales, I'm not going to be talking about every scale. Today, I'll be talking about the major scale. The major scale is, I mentioned earlier, I gave an example of the C scale. The scales generally have a pattern, the way they sound on the piano, and most of us have heard it or even sang it. We used to sing do re mi fa sol la ti do. That's how it sounds. C D E F G A B C. It moves higher, like we talked in my introductory video. I also mentioned how notes are lower at the bottom of the staff, and it moves as it goes upper. This on the staff, it goes higher. So whether you take any key, the C key, the C major scale, or the D major scale, or the F major, any major scale should sound exact, should have this in the back, should have this sound. It might be higher or lower, but it's gonna have the same pattern. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But it's gonna be the same. So we need to understand how these scales are being formed. So even when we are playing, when we see the scale, we'll be able to understand or be able to hear it. So in our C scale, for instance, like we mentioned, we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Major scales, like I mentioned, we'll be talking about the major scale today. And the major scale, this is one. That's what we're talking about. We have the minor scale, we have the chromatic scale. So we will just be talking about major scales today. Major scales, have a formula, which is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. We just have to memorize it. And the more we memorize it, the more we practice with it, we're going to get used to it. So this is a formula for measure scale, which sounds the way that I sang earlier. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It's whole step, half step, whole step, half step. So when we look at the example of this, we have the C major scale, which is the simplest scale because it has no sharps, the black keys. It has no black keys. It's all white keys. When we start getting to other keys, you either see a higher sharp, or in the major scale you will see sharps getting into it as we move from one scale to another. But C major scale has no sharps, so it's kind of easy. That's why most of the time we use the C scale for introductory, to introduce people into music and piano, because it's easier for beginners. So right now we have the C scale: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. A scale always starts from the key note, or tonic. It's also called a tonic. It always starts from the key note to the same letter at the end. And in between, the scale has 8 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now let's look at it from our piano. Between C and D, do we have a whole note or a half note? You tell me. Whole note or half note? Yes, you got it. A whole note. So this is our whole note. Between D and E, is that a half note or a whole note? Whole note. Now between F and G, the E and F, sorry, E and F, is that a half note or a whole note? Yes, that's a half note. So this is our half note. F and G, is that a whole note or half note? Yes, whole note. A and B, whole note. B and C, is a half note or a whole note? That's a half note. No, sorry, I skipped. Yes, it's a half note. B and C is a half note. But we skipped one. So A and B, what is that? A whole note. So we see that our formula works. Whole note, half note, whole note, whole note, half note. And if we want to look at it, we will see that this is going to be our major second, minor second, major second, major second, major second, minor second. This is how we apply seconds in our skills as we play on the piano or even as we sing. So I hope this is clear enough. I hope you've understood how seconds are being used to create our major scales. Just as an aside, I didn't plan to add this here. The chromatic scale, I will not get into the minor scale now because it's going to be tricky for beginners. We're going to, as we move progress with our classes, with our lessons, we'll be able to see how that applies. But I can mention chromatic scale because chromatic scales only use the half step or the minor second. Chromatic scales, a chromatic scale, that's just as an aside, so you will not be surprised. We have one, the major scale. We have two, the minor scale, which we'll be looking at as in subsequent videos. And then the third one, we have a chromatic scale, which is also very easy because it only uses half notes, like half notes. A chromatic scale will do like this: C, C, C sharp, C sharp, D, D, D sharp, D sharp, E. It's going to move. A chromatic scale, instead of a major scale, has 8 notes. The chromatic scale has 12 notes because it takes into consideration all the black keys and the white keys of the scale because it takes everything into consideration. That's just an aside. Okay, thank you for looking at the measure scales. Measure scales use the major and the minor scales, and they have a formula which is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step. Thank you. So we are moving forward into the next part, which is the chords. And we'll be looking at the different parts of chords, how chords have been formed. Now that we talked about scales, and we mentioned that seconds, minor and major seconds are used to form scales, I would just like to quickly show you what a scale looks like on the staff before I go to the chords. This is a scale, our treble clef, and the scale of C moves from C, D, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. You have a scale of maybe F, that's going to start from F, and it's going to go to G, A, B, C, D, E, and F. And each of them contains eight letters. From one letter, F, to F, and from C to C. That's our scale. And like we mentioned, it has a formula of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And so when we look at this C measure scale, which has no sharps, it completely fulfills our formula. So the C scale is okay, but our F scale will not be okay. So we'll have to add some sharps to make it fulfill the scale. So in this case, we're starting with our F. I would like us to erase this so we can see the entire F scale. F will start from here. We have F, A, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. That is it. So from F to G, F to G, is that a whole step or half step? That's a whole step. So we have a whole step here, and we have another whole step here, which so fulfills F, G, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. F to G is a whole step, like I showed you. G to A is another whole step. Now we need a half step here to be able to make it a major scale. So how do we get the whole step? Now we have whole step, whole step. If we go to C, it's going to become a whole step, but we need a half step. So that's why instead of using A here, we're going to have A to A sharp. And A sharp, this is an enharmonic note. It can be called A sharp or it can be called B flat. So, and since our scales, always, you don't repeat any numbers. It has to be from one letter to another. It doesn't, you cannot use the same letter twice in a scale. So since we already have A in the scale, F, G, and A, we cannot use A sharp here. So we'll be using B flat. So in this case, we'll have to write B flat here to be able to make this a half step. And this is a half step now, so we are here. And now we need another whole step because we need 3 whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step. We need whole step 3 times. Here, B flat to B is a half step, and we already have B in our scale. So we're going to go from, to move it, to make a whole step, we'll have to move 1, and another half step here is going to be 2. So it's going to be C. So it's going to be from B flat to C. So we're going to B flat to C. It's going to give us our whole note. And C to D is a whole note. D to E is a whole note. And E to F is a half note. So we see that this fulfills our formula for a major scale. It's going to sound like do, re, mi. This C starts do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, D, E, F. So it's going to be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It's going to be higher because it's higher. It's moving upper towards the scale. The piano scales, the more you move to your right, it becomes higher. The more you go lower, it gets lower. It goes lower, lower keys. So in this case, to be able to have the scale do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, we need to flat this B. So in this case, we have F, G, A, B. So we have to flat the B, so we have to put a flat sign here. I'll be doing another video, so probably doing another video, which will be where we'll be talking about flats and sharps and how it affects how it helps us to be able to play on the piano and read notes and even sing. So this is not for this video. Here, I just wanted to conclude on scales before we move to chords. Intervals deals between the distance, it deals with the distance between 2 notes, while we have also, for the intervals, we also have our higher notes like seconds, thirds, fourths, beats, up to the eighths, octaves. But in this case, the scales deal with our seconds, and now the chords, the intervals deal with the distance between 2 notes. Chords refer to when 3 or more notes are played together, be it on the piano or the guitar. I don't know much about other instruments. Yes, I'm learning the recorder tool. I also post videos regarding the record. If you check on my channel, you will see some videos of introduction to the recorder. If you look at my channel, you will see some videos which introduces the recorder. And I really like the recorder. It's cheap. I bought some for my kids, and it's really helpful. It helps them play and learn about notes. And I had to teach them about the basics of music. Just keep an eye on videos, subsequent videos. So now we'll be talking about chords. Chords, like I mentioned, chords refer to when 3 or more notes are played together. Chords refer to when 3 or more notes are played together. And chords is what we use in playing our piano or playing the guitar. And it gives us, that's called harmony. When notes are played together, they're called harmony. They play the harmony, the harmonic. Oh, sorry, harmonic. And when notes are played separately, they are called melodic. But today we're not talking about melodic. We're talking about harmonic. So if I take C, D, E, a big C, D, E, C, D, E. That's melodic. When I play C and major chords have a formula. Major chords have a formula, which is the first, third, and fifth notes of your scale. Okay? So as an example, we talked about the C scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I'm sorry about the noise. If you hear any noise there, the kids are making noise there, but it's okay. So if we want to make the major C chord, major C chord is a major C, or sometimes it's written C major chord. You have the first note, which is 1, and the third, and the fifth. So our C major chord is going to be C, E, and F. So if they tell you to play a C major chord, you will play C, just as it is, your first finger will be first finger. E for your right hand is going to be your third finger. In my introductory video, I mentioned how no fingers are numbered when you're playing the piano, one of my piano introductory videos. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you're going to be using 1, 3, and 5 to play a chord C. And now, since you have the major C chord, if you want to have the minor C chord, which is minor C chord, it's going to be, you have to flatten. It's going to be the first, the third flat, and the fifth. So in this case, we're having first chord, which is C, and then we're going to have third, which is E flat, and then we're going to have 5, which is G. So our C chord, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Our C chord is going to be C, E, and G. But you want to play E minor, you will not play the E, you will instead play the E flat. So that's why we have this. And now for you're going to have chords can be augmented, diminished. So let me put that. Sorry, I didn't mention it when I was introducing. Chords can be major, minor, diminished, and augmented. So in this case, we see that our major chord, this is a major, the formula here. We have our minor, and that's this formula. We're going to go to the diminished chord. And its own formula is 1, 3 flat, and 5 flat. So in this case, our C diminished scale chord is going to be C, E flat, and G flat. So if you have to play it on a piano, it's going to be C, E flat, and G flat. It's not going to be C, E, and G as the major scale is. That's it about. I would like you to go and practice. Just put your fingers on piano. If you have a piano, you just put it. Or if you have an online app, just try it and see how it works and how it sounds. So the last one which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 major, 2 minor, 3 diminished, and 4 augmented. Augmented. The augmented chord, augmented chord is the C. Sorry, the augmented chord is the 1, 3, just like the original chord, the original one, 1, 3, and then it augments the 5th chord. So it's going to be G sharp. It's going to augment it, and it's going to make it bigger. Flat means to reduce it. So in this case, 5 sharp. So in this case, our C chord is going to be C, which is 1, 3, which is E, and our 5 sharp, which is G sharp. So when you play that, it's going to sound differently. I'm still working on getting to, oh, sorry. Why am I doing this? Pardon me. So this is our formula here. When we move, we're going to progress into giving some details, but I wanted us to have a context and know where we are going with this. So our scale, C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Major chord 1, 3, and 5 for the major chord. Other scales like the D and E and others that have sharps and flats in them. For the major scale, they have sharps. All major scales have sharps, while all minor scales have flats. Yes. So now we said that our formula for the major scale is 1, 3, and 5 played together. That makes it, that makes that. And then 1. The minor scale is 1, 3 flat, and 5. 3. The diminished scale, or dim sometimes, has 1, 3 flat, and 5 flat. And 4, our augmented or aug has 1, is made larger, 3, and 5 sharp. Because when you move E, from E to that, you're reducing this interval from a major third to a minor third. If you're increasing this, you're increasing it from a minor third to a major third. If you're giving a G sharp, it's increasing, it's making it higher, it's making it bigger by a half step. So that's what we've had for now. But I would like us to look at how this appears on I hope that this is the explanation on the piano is a little bit easier for you to understand. Moving up the scale. The major scale is E, C major scale, C, E, and G. The minor scale, I'll move this middle finger to the third to make a minor scale, play them together. And then the G, I'll move the augmented is already minor. I'll minor this one to reduce it by a half step. And now if I want to make an augmented, I'll use this one and this, but I'll increase this one by a half step, so it's going to go on the top. So that's how it is on the piano. Let me show you how it looks on the staff. This is our treble clef, our staff with our treble clef. Please check out my introductory video I put in down below, down in the description. So here we have, let's take the C chord that we started with. This is the C, and since chords move, 1 is C, 3 is E, this is E. They're played together, so I'm going to stack them together. If they were played separately, I'll put it on the next one, like tan, tan, tan. But this is harmonic, so I'm going to put it on the same line. And the next one is 5G. This is our G. So since we have this, they're played together. if you look at the piano, we'll still use the piano to help us. Our C, I think I'll erase this. Our C to D is a whole step, and this is another whole step. How many steps? We said when we're talking about major thirds, we said it's 4 half steps apart. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So C to D is a major third. So we're going to put it here as major third, uppercase 3. And then now from here to here, let's see what it gives us. That's E, E to G, E to G. This is E to F is half step. So it's 1, 2, 3. So that's a minor third. So this is our major C chord that we had here. Major C that we saw previously, that was made up of C, E, and G. And this major chord has the formula for major chords is major 3, minor 3. That's how you have the formula for major chords. I hope that's helpful. I'm doing my best to explain as simply as I can. So let's go. This is for major chords. Major chord formula. Oh, sorry. Major chord formula is major third and minor third. That's how it's supposed to be from bottom to top. Now we go to the minor chord. They have a formula too. I'll come back with the formula after we've done it together. When we set up there, this is we've done with the major, which is this first one. We're going to the minor. The minor chord is 1, 1, 3 sharp, and 5. So our 1 is C still. Our third is E. E what? E flat. So we're going to put our flat here. And our fifth is still G, per the formula here. So if we look at it here, we have C, count it, C to E, E flat. This is E flat. So it's going to be 1 half step, 2, 3. So what is it going to be? Major or minor? 3 half steps. Yes, minor. So it's moving from here, minor third. So initially for the major chords, it started with M, major 3. So it's changed it. With minor chords, flatten it, it reduces it to a minor chord, a minor third. And then now we have to see, now that we're here at E flat here, we're going to count to G and see if it's going to give us a major, 3 letters, major third or a minor third. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is going to become a major third. So the formula for major it's changed, it's flipped. So it's going to be minor third and major third. So when you play it on your piano and you see, for instance, you're told play major C, you know that it's going to be first a third, then major third. And if they say minor, then you know that if it's going to be major, the first one is going to be between your first 3 fingers is going to be a major third. And between the third and the fifth is going to be a minor third. And it's a reverse with the minor chord, with a minor formula. It starts with a third, and it goes to the minor. It starts with the minor third, and it goes to the major third. So we're done with this minor. So we come and tick the minor here. So let's go to diminished. Like we said, for diminished, the formula is what? 1, 3 flat, and 5 flat. So we're still going to have our C here. Oh, sorry, I'm just occupying all this space here. So, and 5 flat. 1 flat, sorry, I'm using that 3. Okay. So we're going to have 1 flat, 1, 3 flat, and 5 flat. So 1, 3 flat, which is E flat, and then 5 flat. We have 5 flat, which is G flat. What does that give us? Our C to B flat, we already saw it here. It gives us a minor third here. And now let's look at it from our E flat to G flat. 1, 2, 3. So it's a minor third, so minor third. So when we look at the formula for the diminished, it will be minor third and minor third. That's it for the diminished chord. Now for the last one, which is the augmented chord, we'll be having augmented. The formula, what's the formula? Always go with the formula. 1, 3, and 5 sharp. Sharp is sharp, is increased. So let's go to our C chord still. So it's going to be 1, which is our C, 3, which is our E, and then now our 5 will be sharp. So we know that our C to E is a major third. It's going to be major third. And now we want to see where E to F sharp, how many steps is going to give us. Is it a minor third or a major third? So this is our E, 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's our G sharp. So it's also a major third. Major third. So in conclusion, augmented chords use the formula major third, major third. So you see how this can be applied. You see how we can apply minor and major thirds to produce our chords and scales. And this, if you really master this, is going to help you a lot when you play instruments, and when you play the piano, it's going to really be helpful. Piano and chords, and even for the guitar. I don't know much, like I told you earlier, about other instruments. But for now, that's what I'm dealing with, and that's where we are right now. So it's going to vary now. I may have to introduce you a little bit with. I know we did the major scale for C major scale, and we also mentioned the F major scale previously when we're talking about what I think the scales. We're talking about the scales, if I'm not mistaken. When talking about the scales, we also mentioned the F scale. So I would like to show you a little bit. I know that we talked about the C major scale. This is what we just did, the C major scale. But I think that we also mentioned it earlier, if I'm not mistaken, the F scale. And we saw that the F scale had 1 flat. The F scale, major scale, because the minor scale, major scale has 1 flat. And we said that it was C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, and then C. So in this case, that may not really be applicable. But in other scales, like let me see which scale I can use. I want to use a scale that has a sharp. So we see how these formulas apply on a scale that has a sharp. So let me do the G scale. Would that make sense? Yes, I think the G scale would do. G scale? No, the G scale won't do. Okay, let's do with the D scale. The D scale has 2 sharps. This is the D scale. It has 2 sharps. D major scale has 2 sharps. I'll be doing some videos probably on scales, on more about the scales and the circle of fifths, probably. Let's see how it goes. Tell me down below if you want to see videos regarding that. So our D has two sharps, which is the F sharp and the C sharp. So I want to see how this formula is going to apply in a scale that has sharps and flats. So in this case, we'll start with D. It starts with a tonic. or the key note, and it ends on the same note. So we're going to have D, and I told you that in the scale, we don't repeat any letters. So we're going to have D, E, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and D. And I told you that the D major scale has two sharps. So it's F sharp and a C sharp. So let's see how this formula applies to, let's see how this formula applies now to this, how you form diminished augmented chords. There is something that I really want to mention that I'll be mentioning at the end. I'll just briefly mention how 7 chords are formed, because G7 chords, or we can talk about G7 chord. Most of the times you see songs being played with the C major scale, C chord, the F chord, and the G7 chord. So I will show you how you can form a G7 chord from any major scale. So if you have you're told to form a D major chord, this is what you would do: minor third, major third, and minor third. If you're told to form a C minor chord, you did the same thing that we did here. This is going to apply to all the letters. If you form a D major, let's do with a D, yes. Let's try that with a D. Let me draw my staff line again. Let's see how that goes. 5 lines and 4 spaces, that's our staff. And now, let's see how this applies to our D major scale. First, let me erase this. I don't want it to be too cumbersome for us. Since we've done with the F, C measure already, and we don't want the D scale, let me take this away. To make it easy and clean. I took that away to make it easy and clean. So I said that the F major scale has 2 sharps. The D major scale has 2 sharps, the F sharp and the C sharp. And this is how it looks. You're going to play a D, an E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And we have the sharp, F sharp, and the C sharp. So if you want to have the measure scale of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, instead of playing F, you're going to play F sharp. And instead of playing C, you're going to play C sharp. And let's see how it applies in these formulas. So if I want to form a C, D major scale, D major chord, if I want to form a D major chord, this is what I would do. I will put our 1, 3, and 5. So this is going to be this. So how do I do it here? D major scale, D major chord. That's the D chord. Yes, D major chord is going to be, we use our formula. We use this, which is D. Where's our D? Our D, the first D is down here. It's a space note. That's our D. And the next one is our F. There's space, all of them are space notes. Our F here, F sharp. So I'm going to sharp it. And the next one is going to be our A. So this is how the major scale is going to look for this one. We're going to use that. It's going to look like this. So we apply, if you look at the formula still, you realize that we're just trying to practice. So our D to F sharp is going to be D, 1, 2, 3. Wait, no, D to F sharp. It's our F sharp. So it's going to be D to F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a major third. Just it fulfills our law for the formula. And then if you look at F sharp to A, 1, 2, F sharp 1, sorry, F sharp here, I started with F sharp here, 1, 2, 3. So there's going to be a minor third. So which fulfills our formula. So all major chords from this is going to be like this, a major third and that. So if we now want to form a minor D minor chord, what do? We're going to do what? We're going to flat, let me see, we're going to flat this one. So instead of it being F, we remember that our major chord is 1, 3, 5. Our minor chord is 1, 3 flat, and 5. So in this case, we have D, F sharp, and E. If we flatten F sharp, what do we get? F. So in major, in the minor, D chord is not going to have any sharp. It's not going to have any sharp. So this is going to be our chord. Instead of playing this, D, F sharp, and A, which is our major chord, we're going to have D, F, and E. So it's going to be easy. So this is going to be D, F sharp, and E. This one is going to be D, F, and E. So for the diminished chord, and if you look at it very well, you can practice it, you'll see that this is a minor third and this is a major third. I will not go into details again because we've done that already. I would like you to just stop briefly, try it on a piece of paper and count it and make sure that it's right. So the next one we're going to have is our diminished chord. Diminished chord is going to be our D diminished, which is 1, 3 flat, and 5 flat. So since we had a D, an F sharp, and an E, because we go back to the initial major chord, that was the initial one. Now, if we flat B, we have no sharp here, and we flat which was one, which is D, F, and A word. A word, what do we do to A to make it a third? We have to flat it. So it's going to be our A flat. This is how we get a diminished chord. And if you look at it very well, it's going to be a minor third, and it's going to also be a minor third. The last but not the least, which is the augmented chord, which we mentioned. I keep mentioning the formulas because I want us to become used to using these formulas, master it. Generally for me, after I have this, as I'm writing down my notes, I'll make sure that I come out with a formula and maybe post it somewhere and practice it even as I play the piano, because practice makes perfect. There was a problem, my phone's battery was down. So I ended with trying to explain how the last but not the least is a D augmented, and where we have the first, the third, and the fifth notes, which are sharp. And we know that our D, we always take everything from the D major chord, which was, as we said initially, this which was D, F sharp, and A. So our D augmented is going to be D, F sharp, and A sharp. So this is our D, our F sharp, and our A sharp. So it makes it larger. So like we said earlier, if we look at it, I just want to conclude by doing the same thing we've been doing so far. Our D to F sharp is D, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a major third, while F sharp to A sharp is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 half steps, which is also a major third. And to conclude, just as we saw in the first example, our major scale is going to be, our augmented scale will have a minor third between the first and the third fingers, as you're playing on the piano, for instance, and a minor third again, that's from D to F sharp, is going to be a major third. And from F sharp to A sharp is going to be another major third. So, in conclusion, we talked about how our seconds, how our intervals, which is the distance between two notes, distance between two notes. That's today we talked about that's one. Today we talked about the seconds, which are major second and minor second. And these two I use to form scales. Okay, which could be a major scale, which we talked about today, a minor scale, and a chromatic scale. And secondly, we talk about thirds, which could be a major third or minor third. And these two I used to build chords. Okay, this is the end of our module today: intervals, scales, and chords. I hope this has benefited you in one way or the other, and I encourage you to practice writing, playing, and we'll see you in the next video. And before we move to the next video, I just want to say that, like I said initially, I'm a beginner music student. I take music classes, I take music theory classes, musicianship, piano. I'll be taking voice next semester, and that's why I am, and I'm happy to have you here. Enjoy, and see you in the next video. Oh, before I leave, I would like to encourage you to comment down below. Sorry, I would like you to encourage you to give your comments about these videos. This is my beginner. In my beginner YouTube video, I mentioned that I was just starting my journey, and I'm ready to share with you my journey. And it's all about you, not about me. So I would like to get your comments below to see how we do it.